Welcome to Beerstories from Beerstory Brewhouse. This is another grain to glass video, this time with my Tmave 12, a Dark Czech Lager. It's really a great, easy to drink beer. Check it out. I really love this beer style. It's a complex, rich beer, full of flavors, very refreshing and easy to drink. So I think it's the best beer to come out of the Czech Republic. I like it way better than, I like the pale lagers as well. I love them actually, but this one just has so much more to it. It's actually not that different from the German Schwarzbier, but this just has a little bit more of everything, in my opinion. And that's basically because of the Czech ingredients, the floor malted Bohemian Pilsner malt and stuff like that. If you read it's in the style guide, it's 3D Czech Dark Lager, a rich dark malted Czech lager with a roast character that can vary from almost absent to quite prominent, malted balance, and an interesting and complex flavor profile with variable levels of hopping that provides a range of possible interpretations. Mine is not very hoppy, but it has all the flavors. Medium to medium high deep complex maltiness dominates, typically with malty rich Maillard products and light to moderate residual malt sweetness. Mine is not sweet, it's not bitter, it's just very well balanced. Malt flavors such as caramel, toast, nuts, licorice, dried dark fruit, chocolate or coffee may also be present. A low roast character. And what I just read there is all the things I love about this beer. It has all these things, and it's just a lovely beer. So I made my recipe for 25 liters or 6.5 gallons. It's 5.2% ABV. Original gravity is 1049. Final gravity 1008, and that's pretty important that you get it down to 1008, because that's one of the things that makes this refreshing, that is kind of dry, has a pretty thin body, so it's very easy to drink and it's just refreshing. EBC is 66, so it's dark. I can begin to see through the bottom now, but it is a dark beer. It's not black. It's kind of a very dark brown, nutty, kind of amber red color. Yeah. IBU is 29, and that's a little bit higher than the German Schwarzbier. It's a little bit lower than the Czech lager normally is, but for this beer style, it's perfect. It's so well balanced that it's not sweet, it's not bitter, it just leaves room for all the malt flavors to really come through and just give this a rich, complex profile that I really love. I used 75% Bohemian Pilsner malt, floor malt, about 5.5% Caram Munich 3, just to give it that toffee, that caramel note, just a bit. And then Caram Munich 2, the same, 5.5%, and that's just to layer in some different malts, some different flavors. Would I be able to taste the difference if it was only Caram Munich 2? I'm not sure I would, but I believe it just adds a little bit something to the complex flavor. It's the same thing with Carafa Special. I used 4% of both Carafa Special 1 and 2. And that's also to layer in. So Carafa Special 1 has, for me, it has a little bit more of a coffee note to it, whereas the Special 2 is more dark chocolate and vice versa. So again, to layer in it's the other way around. Carafa Special 1, dark chocolate. Carafa Special 2, roasted coffee. But Again, it's just to layer in and emphasize all the flavors. The Special X is a kind of a dried fruit, toasted malt, maybe a little bit of caramel, just to give it a more complex, bready feel. The Melanoiden is to give it some Maillard, a little bit of sweetness as well, because it's not decocted. Yeah, you could make a decoction out of this, and I would leave out the Melanoiden, but again, I don't think it's needed in this beer because it's so rich and complex just as it is. So I took the easy way out and just added 3% of Melanoiden. Special X was again 4%, 3% Melanoiden, and then just about 1% of roasted barley. You can drink this beer right out of the fermenter when it's carbonated. It doesn't have to round out any harsh, astringent roasted flavors, because it's all dehusked except for the roasted barley. So it doesn't have that astringency to begin with. It will be more round and more mild in a month, but it's great the way it is right now. So you don't have to lager it for a long time. You can just drink it straight out of the fermenter, actually, if it's under pressure anyway. So that was it. Yeah, this is a pretty complex malt profile, but it's really worth it. And going for the hops, we have 21 IBUs of Magnum at 60 minutes to give it the bitterness that it needs. I always use Magnum just because it's a great bittering hop. It has this mild round bitterness and not harsh. If this were a true Czech lager, I would have to use Saaz, but this is also just to have less plant matter in my wort, or in my beer anyway. So I use Magnum. That's about 19 grams. And then at 15 minutes left of the boil, 30 grams of Saaz, or just about 7 IBUs. Ounces will be up here somewhere. And I flame out again 20 grams of Saaz. If you want, this is not a hoppy beer. You can't really find the bitterness. You can't really find the hops. So if you want to have a little bit of floral, spicy, citrusy note from the Saaz, you should add some more hops at flame out. But this beer doesn't need it. It's all about the malt profile. So don't really do that. Yeah, for the mass profile, I did a protein rest, and that's pretty important, I think, because you want the beta glucans and you want the protein to be degraded so that you'll get a better head and you will get a thinner mouthfeel. And then just ramp it up for a beta rest at 63 degrees Celsius for 60 minutes. And that's a bit of a low mash temp, but that's to get the final gravity down to 1008. And then mash out, sparge, and cool down, and then add the yeast. 2 packages of Nova Lager. That's what I used. I love that lager strain. It's just amazing. It doesn't create any real diacetyl. It's a fast fermenter. You can ferment it hot. And it's so clean. I think it's even more clean than the W3470. Which you can also use, and you can also ferment it hot. But Nova Lager, I think it's just an amazing yeast. It's so clean. And that's really important in this beer, because if you have esters in this beer, it will just muddy up the whole thing, and it will just be, some kind of blurry thing. This is so structural layered with all the flavors. And esters from the yeast would just mess it up, all of it. The water profile, I started off with a reverse osmosis, And this just has to be a pretty soft water profile. So mine is calcium 31, magnesium 2, sodium 10, chlorides 50. So double up compared to sulfates. So yeah, so that's basically pretty soft chloride forward, mold forward hop profile. Yeah, and I guess that was it. Then we have to ferment it, 70 degrees Celsius, 7 days. I think it was done in 5 to 6 days. And then I ramped up the temperature to about 20 degrees Celsius for 7 days to give it the acid to rest and to clean up. And then I cold crashed it. And then it cleared up. I didn't use any findings and it's totally clear. If you want to lager it for 28 days or more, you can do that. Otherwise, just cold crash it. And then keg it or bottle it and pressurize. You can drink it straight out of the gate. It's such a great beer. It doesn't need lagering at all, I think. Yeah, so that was it for the recipe. So the aroma in this beer is really, really good. It's caramel, it's dried fruit, it's toffee, it's a little bit of coffee, a little bit of dark chocolate. Yeah, and it's a beautiful dark beer to look at. The foam is just a little bit off white. It's not brown, but it's definitely not white. And it has a pretty thin mouth feel. It's not a thin beer, but it's just feels refreshing and light and easy to drink. If it had a thicker mouthfeel, it would be more heavy to drink. It would not be so refreshing. I could drink this all day. It's just that good and refreshing. And the taste. You don't get any hops. It's all about the malts. It's coffee. It's dark dried fruits, but just subtle. It's dark chocolate. It's toffee. It's a little bit of caramel. Kind of the things you get in the aroma, you kind of have to flip them around, because what you get most here is that coffee and the caramel and the toffee notes, and then the caramel at last and the dried fruit, whereas the other way around in the aroma. It's just a fun thing. I wouldn't change anything to the recipe. I think it's just an amazing beer, and it's one of the best beer styles to come out of Europe, I actually think. But yeah, it's up to you if you wanna brew it as is, or you wanna change things around. But I really recommend it just to brew the recipe as it is. I can't make this any better. It fits the style perfectly, and it's just an amazing complex beer. Maybe it's one of the best easy drinking beers I've brewed. So guess that was it. If you have any questions, then write to me. Other than that, just happy brewing out there.